So once you've created, comes our next step. And our next step is to bring in that image we want to work with. So head over to File and scroll down to Place Embedded. Now this is a very important rule here, as all the images that you bring in, especially if your image is a photograph and it's in its RAW, you're going to have to make sure that it is converted into a JPEG so that it'll be easy for you to work with. So here I am going into my downloads because that's where I downloaded it. I'll be working with image with the code 1077. So once I select this, because it is a raw image, it is directly taken from the DSLR. I'm going to be facing with this image that comes up. Some of you may face the same issue where your image, probably you're told that you cannot open it. No worries. Go over onto Google itself and download this app, or rather plugin called Camera Raw. Camera Raw allows you to bring in photos that are in its RAW of a different format, and in this case the format has the extension NEF, which means to say it requires this converter for you to either make the file a bit smaller or a bit bigger. So some of the things here you'll notice here is under the dialogues itself, so you can actually bring it downward, the file size, or you can convert it into a black and white, or you can of course make all the adjustments as necessary, as you would see here itself. Alright, like for instance the color, the geometry. Yes, Camera Raw allows you to make such adjustments. However, if let's say you want to adjust it, you can of course just convert, save it as a different image. For instance, for some of you who are having the issue of lag and so forth on, you can convert it into another JPEG. So I'm going to just pull it here and I'm going to create a new folder first on my desktop. So I have that there. I'm going to scroll down here to my custom to save it as a JPEG. And the reason why we're saving it as a JPEG is because we want to avoid the whole issue of lag that we probably may have experienced before. We also have to take into consideration that some of your computers, some of your machines may not be fully equipped to handle such heavy files. So this is something in the long term. If you see yourself working with photos, you see yourself working in a graphic design field or in a video field, you probably want to consider upping your game. So for now, let's save it as JPEG. Okay, and under the quality, come down to under the quality, just set it down to maximum first. Now, one of the reasons why we want to set it to maximum is so that it gives us more allowance, so that we would be able to make the adjustments accordingly as we are working on this file. So once this is done, click Save. Your image is now ready and click OK. So once you click OK, you would notice now that we don't experience so much of lag as we experienced the very first time we created this. You have the ability to make it smaller and bigger, and so that's what we're going to do, and click Enter. Now what I'm going to do right now in this scene itself is that I'm going to remove the entire background. Okay, I'm going to remove the entire background, and for this I'm going to introduce you to a tool that we'll probably be going into in next coming class for assignment 2. So think of this as your first time working with it. So we're going to move into the lasso tool, and we're going to opt to use the magnetic lasso tool. The magnetic lasso tool has the ability to detect all the edges of what you're trying to work with. So let's zoom in first, and what we're going to do, since it's your very first time, is that we're going to make sure that when we select it, we can actually select it by stages. So make sure your option has been set to the second one that you will see on the top here. You see this here? So make sure it's set to that. So select a magnetic lasso tool, and from the magnetic lasso tool, make sure that you select every object. So let's start now. Until you come to the end. There we go. Now it's time for us to clean up. Now to clean up this, meaning to add in places that we want and to remove places that we don't want, head to the bottom here. This is called the quick masking tool. Double click it first to allow this to come about. Make sure you select the second one, selected areas. Reason being, we want our model to be the one that has been covered. Once you're done, okay. Now she's covered completely. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make sure she's added in here. So select the brush tool and make sure you actually, in this case, select the hard round tool, because we want it to work around with all the areas itself, the areas that we've missed out, and we want it to be a sharp edge. Don't worry about it. We will eventually smoothen that bit out later. Maybe we'll just thin this area a bit. Alright, now that we have all that ready, go over here under select and choose inverse. Reason being, we want the model, we don't want the behind here itself. So before you carry on to this, make sure that your image has been converted into a rasterized layer. Make sure it's converted, click delete, and your character is ready. Next bit, we'll be looking into how you can add on the rest of the scenes. Next part, where we are going to put in the backgrounds here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fit in the lava background because I'm going to give that mood of her as a hot temptress, as hot as the lava itself, that she creates that volcanic eruption. Here's the background. Position it to the bottom. Okay. And of course, let us align it Okay, that has been done. And of course, the final one that I want to bring in is that lava, or rather the volcano itself. So let's bring that in as well. I've actually frozen this image. it blend in. And first things first, I'm going to convert this to a rasterized layer, and I'm going to happily erase this part using this soft round brush. Okay, so now you can see how magical this has taken a look now. Alright, it has taken a look. So of course, the next few things we want to do will be the final touches here. Now we want to make it seem as though she has been part of this image. So let's move that here. You've noticed now there are a few details here that we need to get rid of. So let's go into our eraser, swap that to the hard round so that we can remove it completely. Put it right smack there. So you get that nice, really nice feel happening here itself, because you know that she must have been some sort of creature to have created this, right? So I want to create that kind of effect on her hair here, so that it doesn't give that rough edged here. So I'm going to use her own hair, and I am going to use this option called the clone stamp, this one here. So press alternate, and you just need to make it a bit bigger, your cursor itself, and then you sort of like get to create those hair curls again. So it kind of gives that illusion. Okay, so we are done with that bit. Now, I really want to make her look mean-ish. The adjustments here by using a hue and saturation. Yeah, that looks good for her. And select here. Using this tool, I'm going to use the magic wand tool. I'm going to select the area around. Okay, and go back here and delete. So you get that full Megara feel going on here. Then just going to lighten the rest of it. Make her hair bright a bit by recoloring it. So you get a little bit of glimpse here that is getting the reflection from there. But at the same time, you want it to still have that reaction. And there we are. So once you're done, hit over, save as on your computer. Assignment 1, save it as PSD. And of course, once you've done with it, export it as. Under the format, swap it to JPEG. Under the quality, excellent, and save. And we are done.